welcome to the Washington Brawl Podcast, the Washington football team podcast for the people, by the people. The Washington football team fell to the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens 31-17 on Sunday, and we are here to break down what we loved and what we didn't love so much. But before we get into that, I'm your host, Parker Hamlet. I'm joined by my co-host and Washington Brawl insider, Owen Smith. What's up, Owen?
Nothing much, my guy. How about you?
None, man. I think we've had enough time to marinate on this loss. I'm just ready to get into it. We're, of course, brought to you by the Brawl Network. And now, Manscaped, the male grooming experience that gives you the right tools for the job. Before Manscaped, I couldn't shave my sack without some horror story being attached to it. Then I got the Performance Package 3.0, and not only did all those problems fade, but now I can give my balls the perfect trim. The Performance Package 3.0 has everything you need for your man grooming experience. Firstly, the Lawnmower 3.0, which has a perfect ceramic blade with skin-safe technology that avoids any unnecessary bumps or nicks that you would have with any average on-the-market blades. Unlike the Washington football team, though, Manscaped isn't one-dimensional. They finish the job because the Performance Package 3.0 also comes with the Crop Reviver, which is a toner for your sack that will have you feeling revitalized with one simple spray with its hazel extracts. I actually used it a little while ago, man. Had me feeling fresh, had me feeling revitalized, was perfect. And let's be real, guys. Everybody gets swamp ass. And for that, we have the Crop Preserver, which is the perfect antidote for this. It's anti-chafing ball deodorant, which is exactly what you need on those hot summer days. God knows I needed it. Hell, I needed it at work today. So got a chance to use that. Felt great. Works great. All that good stuff. The Performance Package 3.0 normally has $157 market value, but it is currently 43% down or 43% off right now on manscaped.com. So there isn't a better time to join the Manscaped family than right now. On top of that, with the Brawl Network joining the Manscaped family, if you use promo code BRAWL, you can get 20% off your order today. That is 20% off of the Performance Package 3.0. So you can get a great bundle with all these great items, including this bag. I got myself a snazzy t-shirt, some boxers. I got all that stuff for under $100. And 20% off, man. I mean, you can't ask for a better deal than that. That is promo code BRAWL BRAWL for 20% off of your order at manscaped.com today. Take advantage of this limited time offer and join the Manscaped family. Hell, I'm glad I did. And trust me, Washington Brawl listeners, your balls will thank you.
They tweeted something about pumpkin spice ball perfume.
I love pumpkin spice ball perfume.
Exactly. I think that's a must-have.
Everything Manscaped's got is absolutely fantastic. We're not just saying that, guys. I mean, mean that from the bottom of our hearts. It's a great product. Really glad to have them on the team moving forward, and I'm really excited to represent them. So, like I said, promo code BRAWL, check that out. But on to football, the Washington football team fell to the Baltimore Ravens as many people expected 31-17 in performance that would be considered progression depending on who you ask. Owen, it was a loss, a pretty decisive one, but how did you feel about the Washington football team's performance against Baltimore? Were you satisfied?
I was very satisfied. I felt like we played as well as we did against the Eagles week 1 in everything. Sure, it wasn't as snazzy as the win, but comparatively, Baltimore Ravens are a much better team than the Eagles were. We did enough that if it was a mediocre team, maybe slightly above 500, maybe slightly below or way below team, then we could beat them. Dwayne played well. He had a career game, which I was excited about, and he didn't throw an interception. I didn't see as many sloppy mistakes. There were some, but he limited them. His reads weren't sexy, but they were there. He didn't make unnecessary bad throws. He made some. Every quarterback does. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, all of them make bad throws and bad reads every once in a while. Dwayne has been working on that. I'm proud of him. He did enough this week to keep his job, which is what we need to see.
I think that's the perfect way to describe the game. We'll get a little bit more into Dwayne later. Of course, going into the game, there were a lot of distractions, a lot that they couldn't really help. Chase Young not being able to play with a groin injury, having lost Matthew Ioannidis for the year with a torn bicep. For me, going into the game, very bittersweet. One thing that we have to talk about before we get into the game is the coach's corner. First-year head coach Ron Rivera, who's currently battling cancer, was led to a part of FedEx Field before the game that had been sectioned off, and they had put cardboard cutouts of, his late brother who'd also lost a battle to cancer, former teammates, former players, and they, like I said, they called it Coach's Corner. I thought it was a fantastic gesture. Owen, what did you think of it?
Man, I don't know if it was just Bruce Allen this entire time. I don't know if Dan Snyder, for some reason, just got in the right headspace. But this organization this year, maybe not the team on the field, but the organization has a different vibe.
They're doing things right.
They're doing things right, which is not. I'm not used to saying that or even thinking that. They're doing things right. Right, Jason Wright. Like everything here is just it's right. It's perfect. They're doing it well. They're being political about what they're doing in a good sense. I know politics usually has a shady end, like all business does. I'm sure there's a shady end. We don't know about it right now, but they are on the right track, which is it's good to see for a young fan like me that maybe this franchise still has a future.
Yeah, they're very fan oriented, and they're trying to represent their coach and support him through a really tough time. I mean, they've had a very rough offseason. Everybody knows, had a lot of highs, a lot of lows. They've been very interactive with the fans, with the whole entire name campaign. Wolves currently leading the pack, no pun intended. We're a Pro Red Wolves podcast, but we got to throw it in there. You got to do what you got to do. Got to get that plug in there. But, with Ron Rivera, it's great to see the organization supporting their head coach, who is obviously going through a lot right now. And anybody who's watching the game would notice Ron Rivera was noticeably tired, and he actually said he had his moments where he had to stop, get some Gatorade, catch his breath. He also said he's trying to set the example for guys that he was, behind them, and he was with the team, even though he was going through all of this, or is going through all of this. With reports of him missing a couple of practices, though, during the week, does this concern you, and do you think that we're nearing a point where Ron might have to take a step back, Owen?
I think it would be dumb to say it doesn't concern me. I think Ron is a very strong dude. He played in the NFL. He's very pro. He's just a strong dude. You get that sense from him. That's why we brought him in. We needed someone strong. We needed someone to lead us. He's going to do his best to lead us 24/7. He's not going to step down from his leading role very easy, which if he didn't have cancer, I would love. But right now, I need Ron. I need Ron for the long term. I'm not. I think he needs to find a little bit in him to say, okay, maybe it's time to put some more people in places so that I don't have to carry the entire load. I'm not 100% sure if Del Rio is the right guy for that over the offseason. From what I could tell, he lost a little bit of respect with the locker room because of some political statements he put out on Twitter, which I think every locker room has a little bit of not respect for at least one or two coaches out there. And Del Rio seems to be Ron's guy when it comes to that. So I don't know if there's more backstory to that I'm unaware of. But Del Rio did lose some respect at some point in the locker room. Maybe he gained it back. I'm not 100% sure. But it's worrisome because I love Ron and I love the leader that he is, and I understand he wants to take control and lead everything he can. So that's not going to work out very well in the future.
There were like you said, things over the summer about the things that he was tweeting, and that he was going to kind of make the wrong kind of noise with the organization early on. I feel like they kind of weathered that storm a little bit. I feel like that's something that really has been much of an issue moving forward. And, when he missed some practices this week, it's not really something that made national headlines. Like he said, act as if I'm here. And like you said, I don't see him ever being in a situation where he's going to willingly let go of his control of his organization. Because, he's starting a very long-term process of rebuilding the team. And that takes a lot of attention and a lot of time, and he's willing to sacrifice that no matter what he's going through. And that's admirable. And, I was really impressed with how classy of a move this was by the team. I got to say, though, man, they got to get us some Rivera Strong gear, dude. I will buy that stuff so quick, fast. So fast. It looked great on everybody. I saw Chase wearing it. I was just devastated he didn't play, but just everybody looked good in it. I just love how this organization is standing by Ron Rivera in his time of need. So I thought we had to get that out of the way first and foremost. But on the other side of the spectrum, with so much going on, do you feel as if though this might be affecting his decision making? He is kind of developing a little bit of a trend recently where he's kind of starting to go back on some of the things that he sternly was saying he believed in.
I don't think it's necessarily going to cause him to not make decisions. I think that every coach is going to go back on some of the things they say eventually. John Harbaugh once said that he was going to beat the Chiefs next time they come at them, and he hasn't beaten them since. Every coach is going to have their moments of saying something and it doesn't come to fruition, or he realizes that there needs to be a change. If Ron didn't change when there was a problem, I would be a lot more worried than if he just did. It's just how that works. In football, you can't have a cemented game plan. You need to go into it with some flexibility. If he's going to call timeouts, it's because he maybe needs to see something from a player that played well that game that he hasn't seen before, such as Dwayne. He played a lot better than he did the last game. Maybe it was the timeouts were just something that Ron was testing Dwayne with. Who knows?
Perfect. And so, he did use some of his timeouts near the end of the contest, despite taking a strong stance on that going into the game. He also had kind of a questionable call on 4th and goal from the 11-yard line.
Every coach
where he said Haskins was being quote unquote tested, and he wanted him to throw to the end zone. Did Haskins fail that test, Owen? And did you really think that was much of a test, or was that sort of some flawed logic, if you will?
I don't think it was a failure. I think there's growing pains. I think there's definitely going to be growing pains. Every rookie quarterback has failures. Every sophomore quarterback has failures. Look at Josh Allen right now, dude. We can look at the Justin Herberts and the Patrick Mahomes, but we can also look at the Josh Allens who
7 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in his first season. Josh Allen definitely had some growing pains.
And now he's looking like an offensive player of the year.
I mean, he's in the MVP running at this point, so I agree. I mean, I hope that's the scenario with Haskins. I hope he's just a late bloomer, and we end up seeing that kind of, meteoric rise for him. I would love to see that. But to me, with the entire 4th and goal situation, you're at the 11-yard line. You're not getting in the end zone in this situation. You don't have the playmakers outside of Terry McLaurin. Logan Thomas is very bad at getting separation. And to me, I remember watching the game. I was live tweeting. I said, I cannot wait to see the film on this game. I can't wait to see the all-22 view of this play, especially after hearing Rivera's comments about how it was a test. If you look at the play, Dwayne threw to the guy who was open. I mean, nobody else at that 2nd or 3rd level was open in the back of the end zone. And if he threw a pick, wouldn't we be sitting here saying, oh, another pick by Dwayne, another mediocre performance by Dwayne? I mean, you can't satisfy everybody, right?
Yeah, you definitely can't. I think that the other people that look at that and are like, oh, another pick by Dwayne. I think that the only reason the picks last week were so bad is because they were just hideous throws. Like they weren't like, the defender played really well in this pass coverage. It was Dwayne overthrew Thomas by 2 feet up to the left and right into the defender's hands. There was it wasn't a good play by defense. It was a really bad play by offense.
Yeah. And, Haskins finished 32 for 45 for 314 yards. No passing touchdowns, but finished with his first career rushing touchdown as a member of the Washington football team. Rivera said that Haskins had his moments, and then he made some plays. He also missed some plays, but that was a part of, like you said, the growing and learning process. If you could grade Dwayne's performance, Owen, what would you give him after that performance against the Ravens?
Are we talking like letter grade or like one?
Letter grade, just flat out letter grade. I mean, 314 yards, 32-45, no pass touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, no turnovers.
I'll give him a B with a I think a B is the solid. I think A-. He didn't deserve that yet. He if he would have thrown a touching pass down, whoa, I am tired. A passing touchdown, then I think that we could have a different conversation about that being an A. He didn't make as sloppy mistakes. There were still some. He didn't make sexy reads. There were still some mistakes there, but he did a pretty good job on the most part throughout the entire game. He was solid. He was a starting quarterback worthy. He wasn't franchise worthy, but he was starting worthy today. So yeah,
I know Darren Orlovsky, analyst, said that Haskins only really missed a couple reads throughout the entire game. To me, I'm giving Dwayne a C+. To be honest with you, he looked very scared to lose his job. He was trying to get the ball out of his hands just way too quick, even in situations where he needed 10, 15 yards. Instead, he'd take the quick check down to J.D. McKissick, take the quick check down to Gibson, only get 3 or 4 yards in a situation where you had to get maybe 10 in that situation. Rivera says it is Dwayne's job going in next week. I think he definitely bought himself enough time, and I don't think C+ is bad. I just can't sit here and say that he had a great performance. To me, Dwayne Haskins did enough against the Ravens to keep his head above water. Do you think that's fair to say?
Definitely. He didn't deserve anywhere near an elite quarterback praise. He didn't deserve anywhere near a franchise starting quarterback praise. He is nowhere near where he needs to be. However, he's progressing, and so I'm going to give him a B because of that. He's doing enough to keep his head above water. He's doing enough to possibly show growth.
It's the turnovers. That was the big thing last week, was the turnovers. We said, if Haskins isn't going to burn the world down, statistically on offense, he at least needs to take care of the ball. And he definitely did that this week. And he had to do that this week, especially after what happened last week. On paper, I will say his numbers look really good, but to me, a lot of it's empty calories. He completed 32 passes. Only 4 of them traveled for over 10 yards. And 12 of them were actually behind the line of scrimmage. So it felt like it was screen after screen after screen. And Rivera said those play calls were a reaction in anticipation of pressure packages by the Ravens.
And you're not going to beat the Ravens downfield. Like, they have Marcus Peters, they have Humphrey, they have a great cornerback.
It's not that it's not possible. I agree with you. But okay. It's not that it's not possible, because it is. I mean, we watched the Chiefs did it, and but the thing is, we're not the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. We have Terry McLaurin, and that is it. We cannot attack Marcus Peters downfield. We cannot attack Marlon Humphrey downfield. Not only that, we opened the game with a stupid fumble on offense with J.D. McKissick. So, I mean, we were already shooting ourselves in the foot from jump. We don't have the weaponry to attack that Ravens defense like they need to be attacked, to be, taken advantage of like they need to be taken advantage of. Did you like the outlook on offense? Did you like Turner's game plan?
Like, strong word. I was okay with it. I was like, hey, you know what? It is what it is. I wasn't thinking that we're going to win a game against the Ravens. If we did, I would be like, oh, crap, we just won the game against the Ravens. What type of team are we that we lost by that much to the Browns and turned around and beat the Ravens?
Hey, the Cowboys made us look great.
That would have made us look insane. But I wasn't expecting a win. I don't think anyone was. So I'm okay with not being as aggressive, not shooting it downfield as much. Seeing what our young running back core can do in Gibb and JD. We kind of tested the waters of what all our positions can truly do against elite company, which I'm okay with. That's what I want to see. I want to see what our players can do. JD, it was Schweitzer. Schweitzer pulled out that game. He looked good. Him and the defensive line, which they have a really good defense.
The line looks better without Scherf every single time. I don't know what's going on, man. Statistically across the board, according to PFF, the offensive line ranks so much higher when Brandon Scherf is not on that field. And that's a guy that you're supposed to be a cornerstone of your franchise. That's supposed to be one of your franchise players. And, the unit just plays better when he's on the field. And that's just something that really kind of just...
I said a couple weeks ago that he wasn't worth the money. I'm standing by that. As much as I'm seeing Schweitzer pull out and look good, as much as I'm seeing the other guys for some reason get some sort of spark of energy when he's not on the field, Sheriff isn't worth it.
I can agree with that. But back to the screen game, I think a big reason that they stuck to the quick pass kind of thing, the screen game with Haskins so much, is that he was just taking sacks he did not need to take. A play that I was very critical of early in the game was Morgan Moses sliding his protection. I thought that was a mental error on Moses' part, but it turned out, like I said, go back and watch the film, that and I was wrong about this. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Dwayne audibled the play, slid the protection, and it led to a huge hit on Haskins early in the game on the second drive. Then Dwayne took that huge 18-yard sack right before halftime that almost cost us that 3 points, those 3 measly points we needed. To me, it's just a lot of mental errors with Dwayne, and those are just a couple more things that he needs to clean up if he wants to maintain the starter going forward. But on the positive side, someone on the offensive side of the ball who had a day and was nominated for NFL Rookie of the Week is rookie running back Antonio Gibson, who finished with a whopping 128 total yards from scrimmage on 17 touches. Owen, was this the breakout game that we've been looking for Gibson, and what stuck out to you about his performance? I know you're all giddy about it.
I'm very giddy about it. That game made me excited. I was not expecting any player to have a game against the Ravens. I was expecting a player to have moments, but I thought that would be Terry, if anyone.
Which he did.
He had a good game.
We'll get into him in a minute.
I'm excited about Terry, but Gibb was just, oh boy, that made me happy. That's the reason we cut AP right there. That there's so many things that go back to that moment that make me go, oh yeah, that's why. Before Geis was cut for other reasons, there was already rumors that he wasn't going to make it through the offseason. He wasn't Ron's guy. Everyone knew it. He was just, there's so many questions around him. It explains why Bryce Love went to IR. There's so many different reasons and explanations that came out of this game that I'm like, oh my goodness, Gibb might actually be a franchise guy we got in the 4th round. It's happened before, especially at the running back position, but it just makes me happy that we have future at a position that we had at 37. How old is AP? Like 30 something.
83.
He's in his later 30s. Yeah, he's in his later 30s. We had someone playing at that position starting about 3 months ago, and now we have future, and it makes me excited.
To me, what I've been waiting for, what I've been clamoring for, you hear all that offseason hype about him, especially after we draft him. He's a playmaker, just give him the ball, and that's what we've been asking for. But apparently this coach staff is just trying to ease into it because this week they busted a whole can of it open. He got so many touches. He looked explosive every single time the ball was in his hands, was absolutely dangerous on shallow cross routes. Anything quick across the field, he was just blowing past everybody. Very physical on the goal line. That's a trend we're seeing with him very recently. Honestly, he's kind of taken Barber's moniker as our power back, to be honest with you, especially after that play Barber made this week where he tried to catapult the defense and looked like he ran slam into a brick wall. So it looks like your boy Barber is kind of trying to find his way out of the rotation there, bud.
I know. I'm kind of sad about it. I also loved. I had love hours at one point on Twitter where I was just tweeting random photos of Bryce Love. Both of my guys that I was excited about are both.
I mean, I'm not mad about this at all. I'm
just not mad about it either.
Keep feeding Gibson, man. He's the second highest rated running back in week 4 with an 83.8 rating according to PFF. Do this every week. Give him the ball. You got a quarterback who's struggling. Take all the pressure off of him. As a receiver, as a running back, it doesn't matter. If he keeps going at this rate, I mean, you only go up from here. And like you said,
I'm gonna admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about Gibb. I thought that was just such a weird pick. I was not.
I was too.
About him. I thought maybe he was a second string at best, maybe third with some type of crazy weapon. I was not on the Gibb train. I am now on the Gibb train. I was wrong. I'm happy I'm wrong.
Me too. And shout out to the front office for seeing that and finding a diamond in the rough in the 3rd round. Not having those day 2 picks is brutal. And to come out with a guy the caliber of Gibson, who's already outperforming his draft grade, his draft position this early is just, it's a feat. And like you were talking about earlier, as per always, Terry McLaurin, 8, finished 10 receptions, 118 yards, mostly accumulating garbage time. But I mean, like as we say, he's a constant week in and week out. And that's with Sims not being active. That obviously hurts the wide receiving core. Owen, something that kind of got churning on Watch Football Twitter today as it pertains to the wide receiver position is the release of Mohamed Sanu from the San Francisco 49ers. Would you like the Washington football team to kick the can and bring on a familiar face of Dwayne Haskins in his wide receiving core?
I don't really know. I feel like Sanu is a player that has proven his worth in the past. But like all players, the past quickly goes as water under a bridge. It's very quick. You can be an elite player one season and Antonio Brown the next. There's absolutely.
So what have you done for me lately, league man?
So I would like to see him be worked out. I would like to see us bring him in on a workout. I'd be happy with that. I'm a little iffy on if I want him on the roster or not. I like where Dwayne is pointed right now. If we're going to continue with those short, behind the line, just safety option passing game, then no, it's not worth the money. It's not worth it. Sanu isn't like that. He's not a
banged up
quick,
too.
Flashy.
He is not healthy right now, and that is a big reason he had a very short tenure in San Francisco. And that's an offense with Kyle Shanahan over in San Francisco that doesn't really give any wide receivers super high volume in any offense. He uses his guys to their strengths, and he just couldn't find one with Sanu. And to me, Terry has 39 targets, 26 receptions, 387 receiving yards, a touchdown. And he's been playing against nothing but Pro Bowlers this year, man. Darius Slay.
Call me crazy, but right now I'd rather have Isaiah Wright on the roster.
Yeah, I know you're not crazy at all. Terry's putting up those numbers against Patrick Peterson. All Darius Slay, all these Pro Bowl corners. It's hard for me to say we need a receiver. We have Sims out 1 week. That sucks. But I think once you get him back in the rotation, the core will look a lot stronger. And like you said, the complete surge of Isaiah Wright out of nowhere can really pay dividends down the stretch if they keep utilizing him as a playmaker, behind line of scrimmage on those quick, explosive plays. Yeah, I think Scott Turner can find a place for him in this offense to the point where we really aren't in a position where we have to go bring somebody in, especially with Dontrell Inman. Once he comes back, he's shown he has a place in this offense as well.
Give me a free agent signing and wide receiver, whether that be Juju, maybe Allen Robinson demands a release or a trade. Something like that. There's going to be some wide receiver that I would not mind signing the offseason or getting this offseason, but we don't need anyone right now.
Exactly. We just need to find out who our guys are going to be on this roster next season. Let people play, let them show you their worth. It's really as simple as that. To me, Dontrell Inman gives you more value at this point in his career. And, he had a 2-touchdown game a couple weeks ago. Of course, concussion protocol, all that stuff. It's kind of out of his hands. So I don't really think we're in a position, whether there's familiarity there with Dwayne or not, to go out and just have to grab a guy like Mohamed Sanu. I like the idea more in the offseason, but I definitely don't like it now. One thing that is for certain, though, down Chase Young or not, the Washington football team has allowed 30-plus points the last 3 weeks. And all of those games have been losses. Owen, how much of this loss do you attribute to the Jack Del Rio-led defense?
I don't attribute it to the defense.
Nothing.
There's definitely some things, but each week
50-yard touchdown run by Lamar Jackson, 2 touchdown receptions. Okay, I understand that. And I said he would have a signature play. That was my bold predictions, but I'm just telling you the bold facts. Mark Andrews, 2 receiving touchdowns. Hollywood Brown, who struggled a lot early in his career, we made him look like Deshaun Jackson out there. This is an offense that was struggling, not really kicking off on all cylinders on Monday against Chiefs. Yeah, it's the Chiefs, but statistically, the Washington football team leads the Chiefs in a lot of categories. This is a much better unit, and we were struggling. I think that's definitely a fair thing to say.
I think that it's fair to say that our defense isn't a top 5 when it comes to in the past couple weeks. But
statistically, we are, though.
Statistically, we are, sure. But with Kendall Fuller, he made some plays. I was happy about that. I was happy a little bit with how we played in the passing game. We didn't let the Ravens offense really click. They had to make plays. They didn't just come to it like they did last year. Lamar did not play on an MVP level. He played on a decent level, which I was happy about. We did enough to make him to make him struggle a little bit, which when you're going against the reigning MVP is an achievement to me. I'm not that pressed about how our defense played this week. We had Bostic playing as our starting middle linebacker, which 2 years ago no one thought he was going to make a roster. There's no way that I'm going to sit back here and say, defense, how dare you, with 2 of your starting defensive linemen out and a couple linebackers that are no names that most of the time the opposing players on the team you're about to face don't know who you are. There's no way I can sit back and blame it all on them. We don't have to.
And I'm not trying to say I'm blaming the loss solely on them, because I can't. The offense was not as great as some people will tell you is, no matter what stat line Dwayne Haskins had. What I'm saying is, how much of the loss against the Ravens do you attribute on the defense? Give me a percentage.
Percentage. I'll probably give you around a 35-40.
Yeah, I do definitely think the offense deserves a lot more of the blame. The Ravens offense, a lot like their special teams, didn't take the defense seriously at all, though. They stole RG3 out there in the third quarter, treated this as if it was an exhibition, and he immediately throws a pick. To me, the run defense was just piss poor. You had Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram on one leg out there, having a hell of a committee, finished with 150 on the ground for the day. Washington having barely 60, because a lot of Antonio Gibson's yards also came in the air. It is, of course, easy to play the blame game on an injury-depleted unit, but who was your stud and who was your dud against the Ravens for the Washington football team defense? I think we can both agree the stud is Kendall Fuller. 2 interceptions, one right before the half on Lamar that ended up leading to a field goal, and then that one on RG3 off that kind of a tip drill. I think Kendall Fuller had a great game. Is he your stud?
My stud on defense is Kendall Fuller. It's simple. I think he had a great game. I'm excited. I was hoping this would be what he had, and it just made me. It made me giddy. It made me happy. We have players in positions that I'm excited to see what happens. And my dud would probably be. Is this just on defense?
Just on defense.
Ryan Anderson.
Ryan Anderson. He had one of the only sacks of the game other than Tim Settle. How do you not give this to Landon Collins? How? Landon got posterized, man. That dude is making $70, $80 million, and he is somebody we are expecting to be a firm, solid tackler, the quarterback of the defense, the leader of the defense, and he gets absolutely embarrassed by Lamar Jackson. And
Lamar Jackson.
I mean, that's great and all, but you got stiff-armed by a dude that's like, what, 200? 195. I'm sorry, man, but Lamar's not the most physically imposing guy. Yeah, it's hard to get a hand on Kyler Murray. I completely understand that, but to just get stiff armed by Lamar,
it's you're acting like Lamar Jackson isn't the best.
I'm not acting like Lamar Jackson is anything. I'm acting like Landon Collins is one of the highest paid safeties in the National Football League. That's what I'm acting like. And you look on the other side of the secondary. Oh, it's Troy Apke this, Troy Apke that. That dude's a 4th round draft pick. You shouldn't expect all those things from him. But it's week in and week out. Landon Collins is getting embarrassed. And there are safeties in the National Football League that are making a press. Go ahead.
I think embarrassed is the wrong word. I think he's being shown his weaknesses. I think the teams are taking advantage of the little personnel we have. I think in times when we actually played to Landon's strengths and we didn't just force him to fit into the system, he plays well. I think that way too often we expect him to be a traditional safety. He's not a traditional safety. He's a playmaking safety. He's going to get
maybe as a tackler, but even then he's deteriorating there. I mean, he's a box safety at best. Let's be honest with ourselves here. I need you to think.
Safety. Yeah,
that's great, but that means his coverage lacks. And if he can't do anything in coverage, then he sure as hell better tackle. And how many times this year have you seen Landon Collins make a good tackle in open field? Think about how much this guy makes, man. Think about it. Think about the salary he's accumulating and how highly regarded he is around the league, in the locker room. And then you think about guys like Jamal Adams, your Tyrann Matthews, guys that are making plays all over the field. And then you got Landon, who's just getting exposed every Sunday. And you could say it's weaknesses, but at the end of the day, this guy's supposed to be the leader of our defense. I understand what you're saying.
He's not the leader of the defense.
He's a captain.
He's a leader in the locker room, but that doesn't mean he plays well. If you remember correctly, Mason Foster was the leader of the defense at one point in time.
Not now?
Well, yeah, because he's not on the team now. But I'm not saying that Landon has proved himself worthy of a franchise future.
He's being paid like that. He's under contract for years. People are talking about getting him out of here after this season because of how bad his play is. And I see all this talk about Troy Apke, who nobody expected anything from. Everybody knew that was a training camp story. Everybody knew they were just trying to get articles out. The Wonder Bread thing was literally just a joke. But Landon Collins isn't supposed to be a joke, and he's getting shown that he is one week in and week out. Like I said, and you're talking about Mason Foster being the leader of this defense. If Landon Collins isn't the leader of this defense, then who is? He's got a patch on his shoulder. He's one of the highest paid players in the league at his position. If not Landon Collins, then who?
Ryan Kerrigan, maybe.
I mean, that's great, but I mean, like I said, these are plays at the second or third level. We know Ryan Kerrigan's going to overrun. We know Ryan Kerrigan's at the tail end of his career. Landon Collins isn't supposed to be. Has Landon Collins showed you anything this season? Hell, last season that he's even a shell of what he was in the 2016 season.
He's shown me flashes, but he's shown me more complacency. He's not hungry enough as he was when he was.
And you see exactly what I'm saying.
So I see what you're saying. I see where you're saying that Landon Collins hasn't showed up. He's gotten exposed a couple times. He has.
I love Landon, man. I love Landon Collins.
I'm a huge fan of. I might be slightly biased when I say this, but I love Landon Collins. I think he's a great guy. I think he's something that we've needed on the franchise for a little bit. If he can play like he has played, our defense is locked down. He hasn't. I think there's reasons behind that we can't see looking at half a game on Sunday. It's
not half a game
happening there.
It's not half a game. It's been like this all season, man. I mean, yeah, he has a tip drill interception against the Cardinals. He makes a couple good tackles here and there, but you're the only line of defense, Lamar, who's making a beeline toward the end zone, and you let him stiff arm you? Come on, man. I just can't. I can't make up for that.
Like Lamar wouldn't do that to Jamal Adams.
I don't think he would do that.
I think he would. I mean,
look, man, look at the Dallas Cowboys defense. They are lacking that enforcer on the back end. You know, people are clamoring for them to go get Earl Thomas if he even plays in the National Football League this season. You need that guy on the tail end. That's why the Seattle Seahawks go out and trade for Jamal Adams. You need that enforcer on the back end, that guy that can come up and make those hits. If Landon can't do it in coverage, then he needs to do it as a tackler. And I'm sorry, man, but you go watch the tape, all 22 angle, broadcast angle, it doesn't matter. Go watch the tape. Landon Collins is not showing out, and he gets the dud. I expect Troy Apke to play bad, period. And if you don't, you're not being realistic with yourself. But when you look at how much Landon Collins is making to be the starting safety of the Washington football team, it does not equate to his level of play right now. And until it improves, and until he makes more plays and is more of a constant, tackling and coverage and all that, then like a lot of people, I'm just going to be like, we're paying this guy too much. And like you said, it's just complacency, man. So he gets my dud.
I'll give you that. I'll change my dud to Landon. I guess I didn't think through the situation fully, which is on my bad as an analyst. I probably should have thought Landon immediately.
No, I mean,
I wasn't impressed by Ryan Anderson. I guess he's just the first guy that came to mind whenever I was thinking.
Ryan Anderson's like a rotational guy. He's not a starter. I'm talking about starters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would give it to Landon or Troy, but Troy's just we've already talked about him enough.
Troy's not going to be the starter by the end of the season. I mean, we all know where that's going. I mean, come on, man. Cam Kroll's already going to take his job. It's just a matter of when at this point.
Stop bringing up with that BS. Dude.
You got it.
I have gone through this conversation 1,000 times. Cameron Curl is not going to take Troy Apke's job because they are two different jobs.
That's great. But at the same time, on tape, they watch tape every single week. You look at what Troy's doing. There's a lot of stuff, man, you just can't make excuse for. It's like with Haskins.
Go ahead and throw Cameron Curl back there and see how quickly you think he's trash.
Am I saying that Cam Curl's an all-pro safety? No, I'm just saying that there has to be a change.
There
has to be a change. No, we don't have anybody that's starting level. We didn't. Sean Davis
will be better than Cameron Curl ever will be at that position right now. Cameron Curl is a flat safety. If you think that Landon Collins is a true box safety, and you're gonna be like, he's not playing to where he's supposed to be.
But at the end of the day, I don't think Kyle Allen is a starting quarterback in the National Football League. But if Dwayne Haskins' play is bad enough, you have to make a change. And at some point, that's never going to happen with Landon Collins. Obviously, he's making way too much money, and he still has an exceptional play here and there. I can understand your argument with Curl. I think he's better as a rotational player as well. But it doesn't matter. At some point, it doesn't matter how much Troy Apke wants it. It matters how much ineptitude we are currently dealing with at the position, to the point where they're just going to try something new in order to just maybe get different results. But I think that's enough on that conversation. We're nearing the end of our time on the show. We'll see how things go moving forward. You guys leave comments, ratings, all that stuff. Get involved in that safety conversation, because at that second level in the defense, that is a conversation we're having week in and week out. I know that's a conversation a lot of Washington football team fans are having as well. But that is all the time we have today, guys. If you're still with us, we appreciate you as always. Make sure you give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Washington Brawl. Leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to us on. And if you are having trouble finding this and other episodes, use our Linktree link, which will lead you to the brawlnetwork.com, where you can also find the latest from our Washington Brawl lead writer, David Operman. And you can also find some sweet Washington Brawl merchandise so you can rep your boys. Make sure you check out this episode and others of Washington Brawl on the Brawl Network's official YouTube channel. So subscribe there. Do yourself a favor. Also check out our exclusive Twitch series on the Brawl Network, the Washington Brawl Madden 21 Game of the Week series. We will come to you guys this Thursday with another new episode of Washington Brawl as we look to LA in the matchup against former Washington football team coach Sean McVay and the LA Rams, who are rolling. But until then, this has been the Washington Brawl Podcast, presented to you by the Brawl Network. Peace.